Welcome to the HFY Sci-Fi Love and War Story channel. Today, we're diving into a story full of mystery and intensity, where an alien species called the Kilari has been pushed to the brink of extinction, but they are not alone. A mighty empire, isolated for decades, has returned to protect and assist them. This return doesn't just save a planet, it changes the future of the entire galaxy. This story is about a battle not only against alien enemies but also a struggle to reclaim self-determination, independence, and the future for humanity in the universe. Let's begin with moments filled with tension and surprise, as we uncover more about this epic conflict. Now, let's start with the first part of the story, a shocking revelation where the secrets behind the war will slowly be revealed. Let's explore this thrilling tale together. Kilari Prime, a world once vibrant and proud, now lies shrouded in darkness and impending doom. The atmosphere, thick with smoke and dust, is laced with an eerie quietness, a silence that clings to the air like a heavy weight, broken only by the distant echoes of falling debris and the occasional rumble of an explosion. The landscape, scarred by relentless bombardments, has become a shadow of its former self. In the heart of the planet's last defensive outpost, Commander Salvex stands before the emergency transmission console. His four-fingered hand hovers over the broadcast button, uncertain but resolute. His compound eyes, now dulled by the grim reality surrounding him, flicker rapidly. The flickering holographic displays before him show the status of Kilari Prime's defenses, each bar flashing red, each number falling dangerously low. Outside, the Vorax collective continues its unforgiving assault. Their ships, large and brutal, break through the atmosphere with terrifying precision, sending waves of destruction crashing onto the surface. The skies are alive with the flash of energy weapons, but what is truly chilling is the silence between each barrage, as if the Vorax are deliberately savoring the suffering they are causing. The hum of the command center is punctuated by the occasional whir of machinery struggling to maintain the last shreds of functionality. Each console flickers sporadically, their once vibrant lights now dimmed, threatening to fade entirely. The tension in the air is suffocating, the fear palpable. Each officer in the room, though battle-hardened, can sense that this could be the final moments of Kilari Prime. Salvex turns to his lieutenant, Call, his voice calm but filled with an undercurrent of urgency. Salvex. Tell me the status, Lieutenant. How much time do we have? Lieutenant Call, his voice strained and hollow. Our power grid, it's at 12%, Commander. We've lost contact with the southern continent, and the coastal settlements, they're gone. No survivors. The weight of Call's words hangs heavily in the air, and for a moment, Salvex feels the crushing burden of command. His people, once a proud and powerful species, now reduced to a dwindling remnant. He watches the desperate flicker of the power grid on the console and knows, with chilling certainty, that their time is running out. The eerie silence outside is shattered once more by another bombardment, the shockwave shaking the command center violently. The once sturdy walls now tremble as if they too are succumbing to the relentless pressure of the Vorax forces. Salvex knows the situation is dire. The Galactic Council has long abandoned them, leaving them to face the Vorax alone. Even their allies in the Proxima Coalition have gone silent. His mind races what is left to do. Salvex, his voice low, yet resolute. Prepare to send a message. We need to contact Earth. He doesn't need to elaborate. Everyone in the room knows that this is their last chance. Earth, the one species who had once helped them, long before the isolation, before the real incident. Salvex stands before the transmission console, his four-fingered hand trembling as he hovers over the broadcast button. His mind is a whirlwind of thoughts, fear, desperation, and a sliver of hope. He knows the risks. They haven't heard from Earth in nearly 2 decades. Humanity, the species that had once aided them, withdrew from galactic affairs after the infamous Riel incident. Now, Earth is an isolated mystery, known for their advanced technology but also for their unpredictability. His heart beats heavily in his chest as he thinks of the long-forgotten debts between their species. The Kilari helped Earth during the Terran Plague, offering technology that saved humanity when no other species would. But Earth's isolation, their withdrawal from galactic politics, had left a lingering question: would they even care? Would they respond? Salvex swallows hard, feeling the weight of his people's fate resting on a fragile thread. Salvex, his voice cracking slightly, but steady. This is Commander Salvex of the Kilari Confederacy. We request immediate assistance under Article 7 of the Pre-Isolation Mutual Defense Treaty. His words hang in the air, his voice a fragile echo in the vast emptiness of space. The silence that follows is suffocating. He knows the message is being sent into the void, to frequencies long abandoned by most, but it is the only option left. The last thread of hope. The room falls silent. The officers stand motionless, their faces filled with disbelief and resignation. Even the hum of the machinery seems to hold its breath, as if waiting for something that may never come. The transmission ends, and for a moment, time seems to stretch into infinity. The distant rumble of another bombardment shakes the room, reminding them of the danger just outside. Yet, for the first time in what feels like an eternity, there is a flicker of hope, however faint it may be. Salvex, softly, almost to himself. We wait. The room is filled with an uncomfortable stillness. No one speaks, no one moves. They all know what is at stake. The Kilari people, their home world, their future, everything now rests on this one message. Would Earth respond? Would they even care after all these years of isolation? A long, agonizing silence stretches on, as the officers stare at their screens, waiting for any sign, any signal of hope. The seconds feel like hours, and in that moment, the fate of an entire species lies in the balance. The transmission is sent. Now, they can only wait. In the eerie silence that blankets Kilari Prime, a faint, constant hum fills the command center, a low, unyielding vibration that seems to echo through every wall, every console. Outside, the skies, once brilliant and alive, are now a dull gray canvas marked by the jagged streaks of explosions that shatter the atmosphere. The Vorax, relentless in their bombardment, are carving the planet into pieces, slowly but surely. The steady pulse of the planetary defenses is weakening, their once mighty shields barely holding against the crushing force of the Vorax onslaught. The command center, a skeletal structure held together by what little power remains, is a cacophony of dimming lights and dying systems. It feels as though the very building is holding its breath, waiting for the inevitable. The air is thick with tension, each officer holding a quiet, grim anticipation as the seconds crawl forward. Their fingers hover over their controls, too afraid to look away from the view screens, yet knowing that each second brings them closer to the point of no return. Salvex, standing in the center of the room, watches the monitors intently. His four compound eyes blink rapidly in a futile attempt to focus on the fading status updates of Kilari Prime's defenses. The once sturdy cityscapes of his home are nothing but smoldering ruins now, with only small pockets of resistance holding out in the shadow of their fading cities. He can hear the occasional murmur of the other officers, the quiet words of frustration, but the weight of the situation presses down so hard that no one speaks loudly enough to break the eerie stillness. Just then, the quiet is shattered by a sudden alert from the sensor station. In livery, a young officer with sharp eyes and even sharper instincts, leans forward, her fingers dancing across the glowing interface with practiced speed. In livery, her voice shaking slightly. "Commander, I'm detecting anomalies. These readings, they're not normal." The words hang in the air, charged with an almost palpable sense of dread. The room turns to her, the uncertainty in their eyes now shifting toward a glimmer of hope or a new danger. The hum of the station shifts, the light flickering as if reacting to the anomaly NN has just uncovered. On the screen, the vastness of space beyond Kilari Prime is stretched into infinity, a void filled with the chaotic beauty of distant stars and swirling clouds of gas. But something is wrong. The void is not empty. Suddenly, rifts begin to tear open in the fabric of space itself, vortices, twisting in on themselves, their edges frayed with the distortion of reality. They are not like the clean, ordered openings of a conventional warp gate, nor the harsh rupture of a wormhole. These rifts, swirling with a mix of crimson and gold light, seem to bend light itself, distorting the very space around them, making it seem as though the laws of physics themselves are tearing apart. From within the rifts, shapes begin to emerge, massive ships that dwarf anything the Kilari have ever seen. Their forms are not elegant or streamlined, but jagged, imposing, like an unnatural distortion of the space around them. The light from the rifts dances off their surface, casting strange shadows that seem to move, not bound by the normal rules of light reflection. These ships are not just vehicles of war, they are an anomaly themselves, more like a force of nature than a construct of metal. Salvex, whispering, a mix of disbelief and recognition. It's them. The humans. The view screen flickers, struggling to process the vast amount of data flooding in from the approaching ships. As the first of the human vessels pushes through the rifts, it emerges like a shadow in the void, dark and massive. It absorbs the light around it, casting no reflections, no gleam of metallic surface, only a blackened form, more like a void itself than a ship. Its edges are sharp, angular, like something forged in the fires of the unknown, with protrusions jutting out like jagged teeth. The immense scale of the ship is almost incomprehensible. From the point of view on the Kilari station, it seems as though it could swallow entire fleets in a single glance. It is not just a ship, it is a presence. There is an overwhelming aura of something ancient and powerful about it. No ship in the Kilari fleet, or the Vorax collective for that matter, could ever compare to this. The lead vessel, the one at the forefront of this strange fleet, glides forward with unnerving grace. It moves not as a conventional ship would, but as though it is part of the fabric of space itself, an indomitable force that has decided to carve its own path through the stars. The rifts close behind it, leaving only the eerie stillness of space in their wake. The human fleet, silent and menacing, is now poised between the Kilari and the approaching Vorax forces, like a guardian rising from the depths of the unknown. A voice suddenly fills the command center, sharp and clear, cutting through the tense atmosphere like a blade. The voice is steady, authoritative, yet carries an undertone of something more, something that Salvex cannot place. Captain Alina Ray, her voice cool, composed, and almost serene. Commander Vex, Captain Alina Ray of the Earth Sentinel Fleet. We've arrived. The words feel like an awakening, as if the very air in the command center has shifted, heavy with the weight of what these words represent. Salvex, despite his years of experience and stoic composure, feels his heart race as he looks up at the image of the human captain, standing tall on the bridge of her ship. Her features, calm but resolute, are framed by the bustling activity of her crew. There is no hesitation in her posture, no sign of fear in her eyes. She is not here to negotiate. She is here to end the war. The Kilari officers, still reeling from the shock of the human arrival, exchange uncertain glances. It is as if the universe has just rewritten itself in an instant, altering the very nature of their reality. The humans who had withdrawn into isolation, becoming almost mythical in their absence, had returned. Salvex, his voice faltering slightly, a mix of disbelief and hope. Are you sure you can help? For the briefest moment, Captain Ray's expression softens, just enough for Salvex to see the depth of her conviction. Her gaze holds the weight of a promise forged through years of survival, and of a debt long overdue. Captain Alina Ray, with a quiet but unyielding resolve. We've been preparing for this. It's time to repay our old debt. As she finishes her statement, the human fleet shifts into position, their vast ships moving with precision. There is no hesitation, no doubt. The time for questions has passed. The battle for Kilari Prime is about to take a new turn, one that no one, least of all the Vorax, could have foreseen. And as the massive shadow of the human flagship looms over Kilari Prime, Salvex understands that this moment, this arrival, may very well be the salvation his people have been waiting for. But in the depths of his mind, a new question lingers: what price will humanity ask in return for their intervention? The tension in the command center is unbearable as the seconds tick by, but now, for the first time in what feels like an eternity, the Kilari people have hope. The atmosphere in the command center is thick with anticipation, heavy and still, as the human fleet positions itself between the Kilari and the relentless Vorax assault. The eerie silence of the void is suddenly shattered by the distant sound of missiles being launched. The Vorax fleet, vast and formidable, has begun their attack in earnest, sending their missiles streaking across the void. Each missile, a gleaming streak of energy, rips through the stars like a comet of death, heading straight for the human ships. The Kilari officers instinctively brace themselves, watching the battle unfold on their screens. They have seen destruction like this before. The Vorax do not hesitate, they strike with force, intent on obliterating anything in their path. Yet, the human ships, silent, looming like shadows in the vast expanse, do not react the way anyone expected. The missiles hit. The first impact shatters the air with a bright flash, sending ripples through space. The next moment, another explosion, another streak of energy erupts from the human vessel's surfaces. But something is different. There is no visible shield flare, no sign of the human ships faltering under the barrage. Instead, the missiles disappear as if swallowed by the void itself, absorbed into the very ships they were meant to destroy. Lieutenant Call, his voice filled with disbelief. Captain, they're ships, they're not even using shields. They're absorbing the attacks. It is a sight that defies understanding. The human ships do not react the way any known technology would. They do not deflect or scatter the energy, they consume it, absorbing each blast as though they were black holes devouring light itself. The ships appear undamaged, no marks, no ripples of strain on their dark surfaces. It's as if the very laws of physics bend around them, reshaping reality to suit their will. And then, with the same calm precision with which they absorbed the Vorax's assault, the human ships strike back. From their massive forms, beams of pure energy shoot forth, cutting through the vastness of space like a blade through air. The beams are not just destructive, they are absolute. As they strike the Vorax ships, there is no resistance, no shudder of impact. The ships they hit cease to exist, as if they are being erased from the fabric of reality itself. The beams don't just damage, they disintegrate, turning entire ships into nothing but scattered particles of energy, fading into nothingness. The sight is nothing short of miraculous. The Vorax, so accustomed to dominating every battle, seem utterly bewildered, their ships no longer able to keep up with the brutal force of humanity's retaliation. The Kilari officers stare in stunned silence as the Vorax fleet begins to falter, their once unassailable might crumbling under the onslaught. Salvex, his voice trembling with awe and realization. They've never faced humanity before. The scale of the human technological advantage becomes undeniable in this moment. It is not just power that they wield, but a mastery over space itself, an understanding of energy, of matter, that seems to bend the very rules of the galaxy. And in the midst of the chaos, Salvex feels something stirring within him, hope. Something he thought long lost. As the battle rages on, the Vorax fleet begins to retreat, their massive ships now disintegrating faster than they can launch counterattacks. The human ships, though outnumbered, move with such overwhelming force and precision that the Vorax are unable to keep up. With each wave of energy fired from the human ships, the Vorax are pushed back further and further, their once terrifying fleet now a disorganized mess of scattered wreckage. Salvex stands frozen, staring at the view screen. His compound eyes flicker rapidly, trying to process the incredible sight before him. The human fleet, now with its full might unleashed, moves like a force of nature. Their ships glide effortlessly between the remnants of the Vorax, their weapons disintegrating everything in their path. The Kilari officers, too, are paralyzed by the scale of the destruction. The impossible is happening, the Vorax are losing. For the first time in what feels like an eternity, Salvex allows himself to believe that victory might be possible. The weight that has been pressing on his chest for so long, the weight of an entire species' fate, begins to lighten. The Kilari people might yet survive. And then, as if on cue, the voice of Captain Alina Ray cuts through the tension, her calm tone a stark contrast to the chaos outside. Captain Alina Ray, over comms, her voice steady and firm. "We're handling the Vorax, Commander. We need your help with evacuation. Send your shelter locations." Her words, though simple, are a lifeline. The human fleet is not just here to destroy the Vorax, they are here to protect the Kilari. The weight of their responsibility, however overwhelming, is not something Salvex will carry alone. Humanity has returned to honor its old debt, but in doing so, they are forging something far greater than an alliance. They are shaping the future of the galaxy itself. Salvex, nodding, his voice finally steady with resolve. "Yes, Captain. I'll issue the order." Without hesitation, the Kilari officers spring into action. The room, which had previously been frozen in tension, now moves with purpose. Officers race to the evacuation stations, quickly transmitting shelter locations to the human fleet. The urgency of the task is clear, the surviving civilians must be evacuated before the Vorax can regroup. Salvex watches as the human ships continue their devastating assault on the Vorax, their weapons now a deadly rhythm in the battle's symphony. For the first time in what feels like forever, he allows himself to feel something he had long abandoned, hope. The humans, with their impossible technology and unyielding will, have turned the tide. And with that, the Kilari people, his people, will survive. As the evacuation protocols are set in motion, Salvex stands tall, watching the destruction of the Vorax fleet. The battle is not over, but it is no longer a battle for survival, it is a battle for the future. The Kilari have been given a second chance, and for the first time in too long, they are not facing the end of their existence. They are facing a new beginning. The battle outside rages on, but in the command center, there is an uncomfortable stillness. The hum of dying systems and the distant explosions have faded into a dull thrum as Commander Salvex steps into the small, isolated chamber to speak with Captain Alina Ray. The weight of the situation presses down on both of them. The Kilari are surviving, but the true cost of the Vorax attack still lingers, unanswered. The room is dim, lit only by the flickering glow of the emergency lights, casting long shadows that stretch across the walls like dark fingers. Salvex, his posture stiff with both exhaustion and unresolved anger, turns to face Captain Ray. His compound eyes narrow, the tension in his face clear as he finally speaks the question that has haunted him since the Vorax first appeared. Salvex, his voice sharp, desperate for answers. Why did the Galactic Council allow this to happen? Why did they abandon us? The words hang heavy in the room, a bitter accusation. The Council, their supposed allies, the supposed guardians of peace in the galaxy, had turned their backs on the Kilari. For weeks, the Kilari had begged for help, but the response had been silence. The Council, with all its supposed power, had done nothing as the Vorax swept through their territory, leaving destruction in their wake. Now, with their very survival on the line, Salvex demands answers. Captain Ray stands across from him, her posture unwavering, but there's a subtle shift in her expression. A flicker of something darker passes behind her eyes, a quiet understanding that she has known the truth all along. Her voice is calm, but there's an underlying note of something colder, more dangerous. Captain Alina Ray, her voice steady, yet heavy with a hidden truth. The Council isn't just ignoring you, Commander. They're the ones who ordered the Vorax attack. They want to erase your genetic preservation vaults. They fear what you've developed. The words hit Salvex like a shockwave, shaking him to his core. His compound eyes widen in disbelief, and for a moment, the world around him blurs. The truth behind the attack, the truth behind the Council's betrayal, is something he had never considered. How could they? Why would they? Salvex, whispering in stunned disbelief. They ordered it? But why? He steps back, feeling the ground beneath him shift. His mind races, piecing together the fragments of his people's history, the vaults, the technology. Everything he thought he knew about the galaxy and its politics suddenly feels like a lie. The weight of this revelation is almost too much to bear. The Vorax were pawns, nothing more. The true enemy had always been the Council. The silence in the room stretches as Captain Ray allows the weight of her words to settle over them both. She steps closer to Salvex, her expression resolute. The light from the flickering emergency panels casts an eerie glow across her face, emphasizing the gravity of the truth she is about to reveal. She knows that what she's about to say will shatter any illusions he has left about the galaxy and its so-called leaders. Captain Alina Ray, her voice lowering, as though speaking of something too dangerous to say aloud. The Vorax are merely pawns in their game. They want to eliminate any species that achieves true self-sufficiency. Your preservation technology, it's the key to something they can't control. Salvex feels the world tilt again, this time with a deeper understanding of the dark web of manipulation that stretches through the galaxy. The Council, those who had been entrusted with the role of maintaining peace, had been working against the Kilari, against any species that might break free of their control. The Kilari's survival, their ability to preserve their genetic history, their independence, these things had made them a target. The preservation vaults were more than just a relic of their past, they were the key to something the Council feared above all else: true freedom. The weight of Captain Ray's words begins to sink in, the pieces of the puzzle fitting together in a way he had never expected. The Council had never been interested in peace. They were interested in control. And they had seen the Kilari as a threat, a species that might lead the galaxy to a new era, one not ruled by the Council's hidden hand. Salvex, his voice barely a whisper, his mind struggling to process the magnitude of the revelation. The preservation vaults, they want to erase that knowledge. His words are heavy, a statement of fact, and yet they feel like a gut punch. The vaults, the last hope of his people, were not just a symbol of their survival. They were a threat to everything the Council had worked for. They were the key to a future where the galaxy was not dependent on the corrupt power structures that had been built over millennia. Captain Alina Ray, nodding solemnly. Yes. The Council has been maintaining their control through manipulation and dependency. The Vorax were simply their tool. If they could erase the knowledge in your vaults, if they could eliminate the Kilari's ability to rebuild, they could prevent any other species from achieving the same independence. Your people, you were the last obstacle to their monopoly. A cold chill runs down Salvex's spine as he looks at the captain, the weight of her words fully settling within him. His people, once proud and powerful, had unknowingly become the most dangerous threat to the galaxy's established order. They had preserved not just their genetic heritage but the potential for a new way of life, free from the shackles of the Council's manipulation. The room feels colder now, the flickering lights casting long, jagged shadows across the walls. Salvex's mind races, his thoughts a blur of anger and disbelief. The betrayal of the Council is overwhelming, but it's also a clarifying moment. The war, the attack, it had never been just about power. It had been about something far more insidious: control. Salvex, his voice resolute, despite the chaos swirling inside him. So, what do we do now? How do we fight back? Captain Ray steps closer, her expression hardening with a resolve that matches his own. She knows the fight is far from over. What they are up against is not just a fleet of Vorax, it's the entire galaxy, twisted by a corrupt system that has held power for far too long. Captain Alina Ray, with quiet determination. We strike back. And we do it with the one thing the Council cannot control: our freedom. The Kilari will not fall. And the galaxy will never be the same again. The weight of her words, heavy with the promise of defiance, settles in the air between them. Salvex knows that the battle ahead will not just be a fight for survival, it will be a fight to reshape the future of the galaxy itself. And the Kilari, with their ancient knowledge, will be at the heart of that change. As the final remnants of the Kilari people are evacuated into the safety of human transports, the atmosphere in the command center shifts once more. The Kilari may have survived the Vorax onslaught, but an even greater storm is now brewing. The human fleet, despite its overwhelming technological advantage, is not invincible. And just as they had feared, the Council is responding. The towering, majestic ships that had appeared out of the void are merely the harbingers of something far more terrifying. A presence looms on the horizon, vast and unyielding. The Council's oversight vessels, the most advanced ships in their arsenal, emerge from a new rift, their forms even larger and more imposing than anything the humans have faced. These vessels are built to crush any rebellion, to quell any force that dares challenge the established order. Their hulls shimmer with an eerie glow, shifting in the light like living beings, and their weapons, untold in their power, are said to be capable of leveling entire worlds. The fabric of space seems to warp and bend around them, their very existence a testament to the overwhelming might of the Council. The communications array chimes ominously, and the voice of Overseer Lun, cold and authoritative, fills the command center, the words carrying an air of unyielding superiority. Overseer Lun, his voice cutting through the tension like a blade. Human vessel, you are in violation of Council directives. Stand down now, or face the consequences. The words are as chilling as they are absolute. The Overseer's tone holds no hint of negotiation, only the suffocating confidence of one accustomed to bending the universe to his will. The Council's power has always been unchallenged, and they expect no less than total compliance. The voice of Lun resonates through the walls, heavy with the promise of annihilation. Yet, standing at the helm of the human fleet, Captain Alina Ray does not flinch. She has heard this voice before countless times in the encrypted reports she has studied over the years. The Council believes they are the final authority in the galaxy, their directives the unchangeable law. But they have miscalculated. They have underestimated humanity, and now they will pay the price for their arrogance. With a smirk that barely cracks her stoic expression, Captain Ray responds, her voice calm but laced with a razor-sharp edge. Captain Alina Ray, her voice dripping with quiet defiance. You've underestimated us, Overseer. We've been preparing for this moment. The human fleet, though vastly outnumbered by the Council's imposing vessels, is undeterred. The humans have watched the Council for years, studying their every move, learning their every weakness. The time for diplomacy is long past. The time for war is now. The moment Captain Ray finishes speaking, the air inside the command center seems to thrum with energy. There is no more time for hesitation, no more time for diplomacy. The humans have one weapon left to use, one that will turn the tide of this battle in an instant. The Reflection Protocol. The Reflection Protocol is a marvel of human ingenuity, a technology so advanced, so incomprehensible, that even the most seasoned Council scientists have never encountered anything like it. It is not simply a defensive measure, but an offensive one, a technology capable of taking the Council's most devastating weapons and turning them against their creators. The human fleet's ships are now equipped with this strange, enigmatic power, a system designed to absorb, replicate, and reflect any energy or projectile launched at them. Captain Ray's hand moves with deliberate precision over the console. The familiar hum of the fleet's weapons systems shifts, becoming a low, resonant thrum, as though the very ships are coming alive. A soft pulse of light runs through the hulls of the human vessels, rippling across their dark, angular surfaces. The reflection protocol is activated. Captain Alina Ray, her voice cold and calm. We've been watching you for years. It's time you learned that we understand your weapons better than you do. As she speaks, the first wave of the Council's attacks arrives. Beams of energy, pure and focused, shoot toward the human ships vibrating with lethal intent. They are the Council's most feared weapons, capable of vaporizing entire fleets in the blink of an eye. The human ships brace themselves, but they do not dodge or deflect. Instead, they begin to pulse in response, their hulls shifting and warping in a way that defies all known laws of physics. Then, something miraculous happens. The energy beams, as if guided by an invisible hand, begin to bend. They do not collide with the human ships, instead, they are absorbed into the ships' hulls. The energy is not lost, it is captured, stored, and in an instant, replicated. The human fleet's ships glow with a fierce brilliance as they channel the stolen energy back toward the Council vessels with twice the force of the original attack. The reflection protocol has done its work. The once invincible weapons of the Council are now their greatest liability. One by one, the energy beams fired by the Council vessels slam back into their creators, turning the tide of the battle with breathtaking speed. The first Council ship is torn apart as the replicated energy rips through its hull, leaving nothing behind but a flicker of light. The second ship disintegrates in a burst of fire, its once mighty weaponry now turned against it. The human fleet, unscathed, moves forward, its ships now an unstoppable force, pushing through the chaos with a precision and power that leaves the Council reeling. Captain Alina Ray, her voice steady and filled with unwavering confidence. Now you see the true cost of underestimating us. The battle rages on, but the momentum has shifted. The Council, once so sure of their victory, now finds themselves scrambling to adapt to a threat they never anticipated. Their own technology has been turned against them, and the human fleet, empowered by the reflection protocol, fights on with the fury of a species long hidden in the shadows of the galaxy. The final confrontation is upon them, and the Council, for the first time in millennia, faces the terrifying reality that their reign may be coming to an end. The battle fades into the distance, leaving behind a void where the once mighty Council vessels had stood. Their retreat is swift, almost frantic, as their engines flare, bending space in unnatural arcs as they flee the devastation wrought by humanity's unexpected technological superiority. The human fleet, having shattered the Council's defenses with their unmatched force, now moves into the silent aftermath, a quiet power in the vast emptiness of space. As the last of the Council ships vanish into the rift from which they came, the stars above Kilari Prime seem to regain their lost brilliance. The night sky, once filled with the ominous light of destructive weaponry, is now clear calm like the settling of a great storm. The remnants of the Vorax fleet, now scattered and in retreat, are little more than debris in the wake of humanity's power. Kilari Prime, a planet that had once been teetering on the edge of oblivion, now stands, though scarred, on the threshold of recovery. In the command center, Salvex watches the view screen, his compound eyes wide with disbelief, as the final remnants of the Vorax forces slip away. The overwhelming force of the human fleet has left nothing but shattered remnants in their wake. The Vorax, once a threat to entire systems, are now a broken force, a testament to humanity's might. Salvex, his voice tinged with awe. What happens now, Captain? Captain Alina Ray, standing beside him, watches the horizon of space, her gaze firm and resolute. Despite the overwhelming victory, there is no sense of finality in her demeanor. There is only the quiet certainty that the galaxy's future has been irrevocably changed. Captain Alina Ray, her voice calm but firm. We rebuild. And we prepare for the Council's inevitable return. Her words are not a threat, they are a statement of fact. The Council, though forced into retreat, will not simply disappear. They will regroup, re-strategize, and eventually return. Humanity knows this. But what they have achieved today is not just a victory over the Vorax, it is the birth of a new order in the galaxy. As the Kilari people begin to reclaim their world, their eyes turn to the stars, no longer burdened by the threat of annihilation. The era of oppression, once imposed by the Council's unseen hand, is over. The Kilari, with the help of their unexpected saviors, are now free to rebuild their civilization, to protect their history, their vaults, and their future. The human fleet stands as a silent sentinel above them, ready to offer aid to any species who seek freedom. No longer will the galaxy be shackled by the weight of control. No longer will those who dare to be independent be crushed beneath the boot of a distant power. The galaxy has been irrevocably changed, and humanity has cemented its place at the center of this new order. In the quiet aftermath of the battle, Captain Alina Ray finds herself standing alone on the bridge of the flagship, the stars outside her viewport flickering like distant embers in the vastness of space. Her fingers lightly trace the edge of the console as she gazes into the infinity of the universe, her thoughts far from the immediate victory that the fleet has just secured. Humanity, once a species on the brink of extinction, now stands as the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. Their once primitive technologies, born of necessity during the dark days of the Terran Plague, have now become the foundation for an unstoppable force. But with this power comes a responsibility unlike any other. Captain Alina Ray, to herself, softly, as the weight of the galaxy's future presses on her. We didn't just come to save the Kilari. We came to change the galaxy. Her voice echoes in the silence of the bridge, carrying with it the quiet resolve of a species that had been forced to evolve in isolation, developing technologies that defied the known limits of the universe. Now, that isolation is over. Humanity's re-entry into galactic politics signals the beginning of a new chapter not just for Earth, but for every species that had been crushed beneath the heel of the Council's rule. Humanity's journey from the brink of destruction to the most powerful force in the galaxy is a testament to their resilience, their ingenuity, and their unwavering drive to survive. And now, that drive will reshape the future of every species, every system, and every civilization that dares to challenge the status quo. The human fleet, though battered by years of isolation, now stands as an unyielding force, ready to offer assistance to those who seek true independence, those who dare to dream of a galaxy free from the oppressive rule of the Council. The old order, founded on control and suppression, has fallen. The new era is one of cooperation, of mutual respect, and the shared belief that the galaxy belongs to all who inhabit it, not just to those who seek to dominate it. As the human fleet moves forward, its ships now gleaming in the light of distant stars, a new chapter begins, a chapter where the forces of tyranny are no longer in control, and where every species, every planet, and every civilization has the chance to stand on equal ground. The era of forced dependency is over. The dawn of a new galaxy has begun. And humanity, with all its strength and innovation, will lead the way. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through the HFY Sci-Fi Love and War Story channel. We've just witnessed a pivotal moment in the galaxy's future, where humanity rises from the shadows to challenge the oppressive forces that have held dominion for far too long. The Kilari, saved by the return of a long-lost ally, now stand united with humanity in their quest for freedom, independence, and the reshaping of the galaxy. As the battle rages on, and new alliances are forged, one thing is clear: the era of forced dependency is over, and the dawn of a new galaxy is upon us. Humanity's technological leap, combined with unwavering resilience, has set the stage for a future where cooperation and equality replace control and subjugation. I hope you enjoyed this thrilling adventure and that it sparked your imagination. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more captivating stories from the HFY Sci-Fi Love and War Story universe. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the unknown.